Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of novels and short stories. And with me is Sam West. Today, we're going to be talking about the spell Ensnaring Strike. And now this is a ranger-only spell. You're not typically a fan of half-casters, but this strikes me as an exception to the rule. It's first level, it's a bonus action, and it's got some neat effects. What do you think?
Yeah, I wrote harshly about Ensnaring Strike. I think I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I was really feeling like, oh God, Rangers suck. Everything's awful. This spell is terrible. I think Ensnaring Strike is bad. I think Ensnaring Strike is better than I gave it credit in my at least written review. The spell, I don't like, and I've made it clear that I don't like effects that don't always do what I want them to do in 5e. I don't like saber dies. I don't like spell attack rolls because I want to guarantee when I spend a resource, I get something out of it. The thing with Ensnaring Strike is you need two things to go well to get anything to happen at all. And I find that to be concerning. That being said, one of them is kind of given, and the other is fine early and really bad late. So this spell has some use cases. They're just narrow.
All right, well,
that's where I land on it.
Let's go through it. What do you need to go right?
Okay, so for Ensnaring Strike to happen, you have to hit a creature with a weapon attack roll after using your bonus action to cast Ensnaring Strike. It then needs to make a strength saving throw. If it is large or larger, this is the most bummer part of the spell. I can't believe this is written on the spell. This is if it's larger, the spell imposes a disadvantage on itself.
Okay.
So
I mean, that makes sense, I would think.
It makes like logistical sense, but from a game power perspective, feels so awful.
It's a first level spell.
You get a third level though, because you're a ranger and you already have to hit the thing, and it already is making a strength saving throw when you're probably not having a particularly high wisdom, because rangers like to have high dex. If you're going for a frontline ranger build, you're going to want to have high con, possibly high strength, which means your wisdom is normally your second or third-ish ability score priority. So this is not going to be a particularly high spell save DC. Things you want to restrain already typically are going to have pretty high strength. The odds of this succeeding end up feeling like a coin flip, sometimes worse than a coin flip. If it's large, certainly worse than a coin flip. Spending a first level spell slot to do something worse than a coin flip on the creatures you want it to affect the most, that feels pretty awful. That's why I don't like it. All of the things that have to go right to make the spell work on the creatures you'd want to use it on, the spell deliberately is like, this is getting too good. We can't let this happen. Granted, if you do get it to succeed, the damage is kind of moot, but what's not moot is restraining a creature. The restrain condition is very, very good. Making a creature speed 0 until end of their turn being able to pass this means you can, should they fail one, at minimum lock it down for a round, and also grant every attack against it advantage, and also impose disadvantage on all its dex saves. That's a powerful feature. This is
huge.
Yeah, this is the same level as we're getting some other similar effects. But as a ranger, you don't have a lot of ways to do this. You do have a really wide attack arc if you're using like something like a longbow, which means you can restrain things from very far away. Not the most important thing in the world, but if it's something that has a fast fly speed, being able to lock it down from 180 feet away can buy you extra rounds of it never getting to you in the first place, which can be meaningful. Again, you just are jumping through a lot of hoops. You have to get a lot of things to go right, especially before 5th level. Because if you're only at one attack a round, if you miss that attack, if you miss your next attack, you just casted a spell that did nothing for the encounter. That feels pretty shit. But like, if it does hit, it can change the pace of an encounter. It can change the outcome of things dramatically.
Now, you mentioned a flying speed. Does that mean, falling damage if it works?
Possibly. So making a creature's speed is 0 while they are flying, if they are not magically flying, causes them to start falling, from my understanding. I know that's what knocking them prone does as well. I could be wrong on that rule, but I believe if something does not have a magical fly speed, reducing their speed to 0 does cause them to start falling. Again, that could be wrong. It may be that like a restrained creature can still like use their wings to maintain altitude. I'm not positive. I know Driving Prone does this, but it could be a use case for it. At minimum, restraining a creature, granting an advantage on attack rolls and on disadvantage on deck saves means you can continue to pepper it forever. If you do have multi-attack and you manage to restrain on the first hit, your second hit has, or second attack has advantage, which is really sweet. Again, you just need to make sure you're prioritizing using those against medium creatures and not large creatures. Which
see, unlike we've talked about this before, but unlike you, I am an irresponsibly optimistic player, and I would go for it with a gargantuan creature. Just on the very slim chance that it failed its save. That would be a lot of fun.
Restraining the Ancient Red Dragon at your level 18 encounter is really powerful if you get it to happen. It probably has legendary resistances and stuff, but if it's burning that on a first level spell, you're really happy. So yeah, this can be good in that instance. It doesn't get worse past large, right? So you're right. If you're against a Tarrasque and you're like, screw it. I don't know if Tarrasque is immune to magic. I don't know. It has a bunch of text. If you're against like an Aboleth or a Kraken, like you suggested, it's exactly the same as shooting a hill giant. It has the exact same disadvantage. There's no extra penalties there. So that is nice, I guess. It doesn't get worse the larger the creatures get. When I want this to be good is whenever you're a low level, and as you get higher level, your casters are definitely going to get more powerful stuff than this to make it so you're like, I don't really need to do this. I can just use my bonus action on Hunter's Mark. I can just use my bonus action on, Cordon of Arrows or something, or not Cordon of Arrows, Swift Quiver. Like there are more powerful things to do as you get down the road as Ranger than cast Ensnaring Strike.
Well, Swift Quiver, that's 5th level, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like we're talking like full upper tier. But that's when you're fighting Krakens, right?
Right. Yeah. What else? Oh, how do you find this compares against something like Entangle, or I guess Entangle seems like the most similar, but also like Hold Person or whatever. Anything or Black Tentacles or anything that holds a person.
I think this is very different than Entanglement and Varg's Black Tentacles, namely because those affect areas and this affects a single creature. I would more aptly compare this to Hideous Laughter and Hold Person. Hold Person, your full casters get at the same level. It's just the save. They don't actually have to hit prior. They probably have a higher save DC. It doesn't care the size of the person. So if you're against a large humanoid for some reason, this works, like a Drogar or something. It is limited to person. So this is worse in that regard. That's worse in that regard than this is. This can affect anything. However, the paralyzed condition is leagues better than restrained. Paralyzed destroys creatures. Like it is the same as restraining them with massive upside. Paralyzed creatures, everything has advantage on attacks against them. They automatically fail strength and dex saves. They are incapacitated, which is a whole other condition. And every other thing that hits them is a crit. So the difference of upside of something you get at the same level that's targeting the same kinds of creatures. Again, this you would want to be using this against medium creatures to not have the disadvantage. That's largely going to be your humanoids, your goblin bosses. It's going to be your bandit leaders, those kinds of things. Hold Person, while not doing your weapon attack damage on hit, is such a gigantic improvement. It's crazy. And then you have Hideous Laughter, which is you can have happening at first level. Granted, first to third level, that's fairly close, so it's not a huge deal. But Hideous Laughter also, it knocks them prone and incapacitates them. This, if you restrain a creature, it can still attack you. Like if you restrain something in melee range, it can still punch you. Hideous Laughter turns that off entirely. And again, you don't have to get two things to go right for it to work. You just need to fail the save. So as far as saber dies go, those I think both are better at the saber die element of it. This is a weapon attack roll with an extra d6 if you hit, and then also can restrain them, which is moderately, I would say this is aptly comparable to both. I just don't think it's going to be as usable for nearly as long. And I don't think the condition it's imposing is as powerful as the other two are.
No. Do Rangers get any of these other spells, or is this like the best?
I don't believe they get Hideous Laughter or Old Her. I think this is the only, not only, but one of the only like big restraining things they get. They might get another option here or there to like lock something down specifically. But as far as locking a single creature down with a meaningful condition, Ensnaring Strike's kind of the best you get. That is
so would you agree then that of the ranger's options, or if you're a ranger, this is a pretty good spell to get then?
It can
If you don't have the other choices available.
It comes with a very large caveat, and that's a very large caveat, is you have to be a ranger that doesn't care about your concentration. If you are using Hunter's Mark, if you're using Swift Quiver, this spell's dead, because you will always rather have those up in your builds than this. If you're a 2-11 fighter ranger with Hunter's Mark, there's no room for Ensnaring Strike. If
I'm
you're
looking forward to our chat about Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
This comes up a lot.
Yes, it's one of those build around me spells where your goal is to maximize its effectiveness over long periods of time and each concentration for a long period of time, which then means if that's the build you're going for, if you're trying to be a high damage dealer, you kind of mitigate and remove a bunch of other options that you would have as far as their utility goes. The usefulness of spells like Ensnaring Strike, the usefulness of spells like Hail of Thorns go down substantially in the windows where you are consistently using 8-hour, 10-hour concentration spells, just because you don't want to break that concentration over the course of 3 encounters that you can help it.
All right, we got anything? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that is, this will be fine on rangers that don't care about their concentration, and those can exist. You don't have to be the Hunter's Mark Ranger. They are, I think they will be find middling uses and feel a little bit worse than the ones that do rely on more powerful concentration options.
All right. Anything else to say on Ensnaring Strike?
That's a 2 out of 5 spell. It's not. I made it when I wrote about this. I really laid into it. It's not that bad. You will find that it can have a very powerful effect. I don't like that it has to have 2 things go right for it to happen at all. And the likeliness of 3 things going right is exceptionally far-fetched. So I don't think you should expect this to last more than a round. So yeah, this will find its way onto some character sheets where you're like, we don't have Hold Prison, we don't have Hideous Laughter, and we'd like to. And that's where Ensnaring Strike, I think, can be at its best. I just don't think that it's as frequently as others do.
Well, I'm going to jump in this time and give it a 3 out of 5 because it fits my gambler play style.
The high risk, high reward, go for broke. Yeah, absolutely. It is that.
All right. Well, that was Ensnaring Strike. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, Sam. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, our full review of the spell, and other fun things.